to Detroit in Black and White. This is our Saturday edition. We got a full house today. Lovely historical Guardian building. Jim Nardone, how you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine, thank you.
Yeah, you was giving hell last night, talking plenty smack.
Who was I talking smack about? I don't
Well,
remember.
that's what people said. We was
Okay.
talking smack. You know, Vanessa Moss, attorney Vanessa Moss, saw you on TV. No comment.
Fox too.
Good morning to all of you, the co-hosts here in Detroit Black and White. I want to say good morning to those that are watching Detroit Black and White. We are encouraging you to hit that like button, to subscribe, to share. You can catch us on all social media platforms. Also, make any kind of comment that you like, as long as it's respectful. Good morning, Derek Henry. Detroit Black and White.
Great conversation last night.
Allan Lengel. Allan was hanging out tough. Probably saw the Tigers lose another game.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I wasn't going to watch the Tigers, and then some friends were in from D.C., so we went to the Old Buddy's Pizza, and they put us in the bar, and I was facing the TV
Restore
screen.
the world.
Oh my God! The Tigers up 1-0, and it was like
The game over.
they lost 6-2. It was just
Well,
pathetic, but they still have a chance to acquire the trade deadline is I think
Bobby
July
Myers,
30th.
Mark Myers,
Yeah.
all those folks.
It's a juice up.
But anyway, ladies first.
Yes. So I just want to address something. Last night I wasn't here. I was out having some fun. And while I was out, I got several text messages because people thought that Attorney Todd Perkins was going to be on the show.
Yeah,
the text message
did too.
was that Adolph is dogging him out and say that he's probably scared to come on the show and all of this. So of course I talked to my co-host and they said that is not true. We said a lot of complimentary things. I want to say to those, I didn't watch the show last night. I didn't watch it this morning. But for those of you that walked away thinking that that was the case, clearly that is not what the host and the co-host said occurred. As a matter of fact, last night while I was out, Attorney Perkins did text me and said that he was at a forum last night. And he got out the forum late and I said, hey, reach out to them. But it was extremely late. It was like 8:40 or something like that when he texted me. So
That's why we had too many forums, because at this point in time, you're trying to reach as many people as possible.
Yeah,
listen, I like, as a person, I like Todd. I think he's a great attorney, etc. If I was running things and I was the mayor of the city, I would hire him as court counsel. Well, that's what I think about it. As mayor, I'm just going in another direction, and that's we can disagree to agree to disagree.
Yeah,
but
that's what
there's nothing personal.
Right.
We did not Jim. Did we beat him up?
I think his contribution to the city and to the surrounding areas here is undeniable. And I think people should look at the comments and consider Todd Perkins. I think he's one of the top few candidates, and I've said that repeatedly. We've had him on the show.
Right.
He made a great argument to be mayor of the city of Detroit when he was on Detroit in Black and White.
And Santil Jenkins said, and this is the first from a mayoral candidate in years, saying, we got several good candidates, and I can work with them. If I had the pleasure of being elected mayor, I would want, basically says she would want them in her administration.
Right.
Now that says a lot.
Her and Todd,
Yes.
her and Todd get along quite well.
And I will say, I will vouch for that they get along pretty well. And I will say that I have not said publicly who I'm supporting. I think that we have some really good candidates. And then I think we also have some questionable candidates. But I think that people need to make their informed decision about who they want to be the next mayor of the city of Detroit.
Well, when people criticize me. I went through this shit before. When there was a hangout. Flood's Bar and Grill was a hangout for all the political.
Is that still a hangout?
Yeah, still the daughter's
still?
running it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's still a hangout, but I don't know
from
who
the
goes.
former owner. But anyway,
I've been there.
it was a popular spot for political wannabes, and everyone always went there. The drinks was good, the food was all right,
Right.
but
It was a cool place.
but it was a place to be seen and to be heard. And I remember going there, and these guys, older guys, always sat at the same table. It's that kind of bar, you sitting at somebody's seat if you go in there at a certain time. And they didn't like Coleman Young. They did not like Coleman Young. They was talking about it and etc.
Well,
Somebody that was in the bar, I guess, made a phone call. Guess who showed up? Coleman Young. And the guy said, "Nah, here's the mayor. Now talk about it." They got up and they walked away.
Right.
You know what? I don't see where you could criticize anybody. People got thin skin, whether they running for mayor or they already elected mayor. You can go and make a legitimate criticism on somebody, and they used to call back, they're attacking the mayor. They're attacking the mayor. They didn't say too much.
Right. But you know what? This is the thing, that when you're running for office and when you're doing the kind of work that you do, and you put yourself out publicly, like those of us that's on the show, we know that we're going to have some haters, as we call it. We're going to have some haters and some congratulators. You're putting yourself out there for that kind of criticism. And if you have thin skin, then maybe that's not the business you need to be in. I am not implying that is the case for Todd, because he and I have not even had a conversation about this. I know for a fact he doesn't have thin skin, but yeah.
It happens. When I didn't support Kwame Kilpatrick when he first ran, I had people beating up on me. I stopped going to floods because that was a pro-Kwame. I thought this was Switzerland, where you had all kind of views. Yeah, everybody. But now, you're not with Kwame, etc. You with Bill Brooks, the late Bill Brooks from General Motors. He was a Republican, but he worked in the Clinton administration, Nixon, etc. Guy he would have been a great man. Anyway, Kwame campaign, they beating up on him. He's a Republican, etc. I said, I'm looking at the structure of Kwame's campaign. Steve Mitchell, the poster,
right,
big time Republican, raising money for Kwame. His wife was raising money.
Mm-hmm.
He had all kind of Republican operatives. And I used to call people in the media saying, "Y'all writing about Bill Brooks being Republican? Look at Kilpatrick's campaign."
So it's if people use words like titles like Republican, Democrat, it's like a slur, right? And especially when we're talking about politics. He's a Democrat or she's a Republican. We always say, I think all of us can agree, look at the individual and what that individual stands for. Because you're absolutely correct. You look at some of these people, you look at who they get money from, they're getting, if you look at some of the candidates now, don't let me open the DeVos. Some of these people that's running for mayor now, do you think that their campaign chest is full of money from just Democrats? Get out of here.
Listen, the DeVosses have been a part of Detroit politics for a long time. They've been given to Democratic candidates, dark money, light money, whatever.
Do you think they're giving to Craig?
Who knows? You have
Ron Weiser is the only one I gave. Nobody is giving to Craig.
Craig is not giving to Craig.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's interesting, when we talk about Todd and stuff like that. Ed Sarpolis came out with a poll for whatever. I know people are skeptical. Sometimes polls, Ed is really good. I mean, the poll shows Mary Sheffield, we talked about this the other day, 34%. Santillo with, I think, 17%. Kinlock with 16%. Todd only has 4%. And I asked Ed Sarpolis, I said, what's going on with Todd? He says, look, Todd's run a great campaign. He said he's on social media and everything like that. He says he just started with the deficit of a name recognition, that he didn't have the same recognition as Mary and all these other people. But Todd's run, I've seen his social media things. We've had him on the show and stuff like that. Todd does a good job. If he ends up not placing well, it's really because of the deficit of, and not having the money that Mary Sheffield apparently is just waiting to blow out for money in the general election.
And she said, listen, you can have all the money in the world, right? All the money in the world. That does not mean that you're going to win. That is not an indication.
I'm calling this a rope-a-dope campaign. She's blowing everything. She got 34%, only moved from 32 to 34, and you spend $1 million. You spend already. You got billboards up already. You got commercials. You're gonna send out 25 pieces of literature, which I thought was a waste. They're not spending right. And then come November, if you make the top 2, where's all this other money coming from? You wasted a lot of fucking money.
Right.
You want to read some of the comments?
I'm going to read some of the comments. Derek Henry, good morning. Duela, Boys, Janet Overall, Same Day Parlay, Stephanie Jackson, good morning. They all say good morning to us. Kenneth Powell, always right on time. Salutes to all the guys and goddesses. He says, Kenneth Reed says, good morning, Adolph and the team, the A team. Timothy Square Bay said, what's wrong with the volume? On purpose says that why didn't Perkins appear last night? He was at a forum, and because he was at the forum went longer than he anticipated, and that's why he wasn't here. Mr. 1213 told us to fix our volume. We hope it's better. Willis Martin said Kwame wants in. Ira Todd says, good morning. He's glad to see us all together. He said it was a great show last night. Terrio 84 said, good morning, family. Good morning, family. They're in from Dallas. We also have David Lengel.
That's my cousin from New York.
Good morning.
You mean that's a more Langles?
Right.
We found them on what was it, 23andMe or whatever the thing is. My cousin looked into it and we discovered we had some cool cousins.
And they claim you, so that's a good.
Yes.
Bridget Huff, TC, she said good morning. Somebody says good morning, Kinlock, all the way. That's Timothy Squire Bay, and I'm glad he brought his name up because I want to make a comment about Pastor Kinlock. And Mr. 1213 says he does not think that these candidates are using their own money unless one has a long time war chest. It costs a lot to run. On purpose says only Jenkins, Durhal, and Landon participated in the Black Gay Mayoral Forum last week. Kenneth Reed said, Adolph, this is one of the quietest primary campaigns ever.
Yeah, and listen, this.
I want to answer.
Go ahead.
I want to answer my cousin real quick.
Please.
He asked the Toronto-Detroit thing is a rivalry. I don't think Detroit hasn't been traditional. There being a rivalry.
With the baseball?
Yeah. The rivalry is really
86.
Cleveland, Minnesota, but not really Toronto. But people in Toronto.
But in 86, but in 86, 1986, they traded away a future Hall of Fame pitcher for Doyle Alexander, who came and won 9 straight games. That's right. Yeah, he was pitching in Lansing, and they gave him away. You know, it was a rivalry there. It was great game.
But I don't think right now if you see the stands, there are a lot of Toronto fans who come down.
Remember they had the hotel by the stadium in Toronto, and they had a game, and the people had the shades up, and they was having sex on TV. Yeah. Right, yeah.
Karen Dumas.
Okay, let's take a break.
He wants to make a comment.
Real quick, just quickly, if I could. I just want to make a comment about Mr. Todd Perkins. Life is not always fair. And if Todd Perkins was the person that was able to get through to the general election, I would say that he would have a really good chance of being the mayor of Detroit.
I agree.
Okay, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back with political guru Karen Dumas.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Santil Jenkins is running for mayor to put people over politics.
It's about creating a city where every Detroiter has a chance to succeed.
And Santil has been true to her word. A former city council president, she created 10,000 jobs. She's helped men overcome addiction. She kept the heat and lights on for thousands of families in need. She will always put us first.
I'm built for this. We are built for this. Together, let's fight for Detroit.
Santil Jenkins, Detroit's next mayor.
Okay, welcome back.
All right.
Good morning, Karen Dumas.
Good morning, Vanessa and the A team.
Good morning, Karen.
How you doing?
We're doing great.
Doing great now. We got you on. And let's jump right into the fire.
Okay.
Ken Locke, Reverend Ken Locke.
I'm glad you brought that up.
That story, does it hurt him among women or helps him or what do you think?
Honestly, I think because people are so, I don't know what the right word is in terms of their religious leaders, I think that story may actually backfire, to be perfectly honest with you. I really do. So, I mean, I understand, was he 19, 20 years old? Domestic violence is never excusable. But, you know, a lot of people have done things before the internet and before social media that if, in fact, they were to come out, you know, there would be a lot more people that would have things to explain. So, you know, I think I would rather like to see a more comprehensive look at all the candidates as opposed to the whole nitpicking this one candidate, this one, you know. Once upon a time, there were fact checks against commercials, all these forums, what the candidates are saying. But at this point, you know, I mean, we've been lulled into something over the past 12 years. And, you know, that accountability, even from the media, is not there like it used to be.
You know what, Karen, I'm glad that you said that because there's quite a few things that you said that I want to address. One, how people are about their religious leaders. The same week, you had some story come out about Bishop Ellis, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if you read the comments from the people who belong to that church, they jumped on the woman who you know, did this story. People don't play about their families. That's number one. Number two, I think it's very interesting. And people, when you're an informed voter, you need to be informed.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that several candidates have been challenged by the same individual. The same individual, Mr. Davis.
Robert Davis.
And you have to look at, well, who benefits? Who could possibly benefit from this if you're talking about politics? And three, he was 19 years old, a kid. I'm a defense attorney. He probably got hired. Why would this even be an issue? This is absolutely insane. And if you know, I like you, I think it's going to backfire because the people that support him is going to support him no matter what. And like you said, I do not condone violence. I do not condone domestic violence. But he was 19. He was a kid.
Go ahead, Allan.
I was going to say, look, his supporters are. It's probably not going to dissuade them, but I think for the undecided, if you're really not feeling strongly about him or strongly about Mary or Santil, you might say that might be enough as an undecided to say, yeah, I think I'll go with that. I mean, no question. I mean, look, the loyalty. He was 19. He got 12 months probation. they added an extra 6 months after, because he didn't meet up, he wasn't doing the counseling, he didn't pay the court fees, so they extended the probation. But he was 19 years old. He's going to be 52, I think, on July 28th. It's another lifetime, but it's it's part of his
so what
story.
did we go back to the kindergarten and say Joe Blow, when he was in kindergarten, smacked a little classmate on her butt? And,
Well,
and he's
I
not,
think people need to understand that everybody, one, is human and everybody is imperfect, including a lot of people in the media. I mean, we have forgotten a lot of stories or either not known some of the people have done human things themselves. And so this is why I don't kick people when they're down. I don't kick people at all, because everybody has made either a mistake or something that is being interpreted as a mistake to someone else. So, I do think that the focus needs to be on, I know those type of behaviors speak to character. But like Allan said, he's 19 years old. I mean, I can think of something. I remember a guy grabbed me by my arm. I've never had a man put his hands on me. I tried to run him over with my car. I was in high school. So you're going to come back and say that I mean, we've all done those things. So I think we need to focus on.
That's why we don't run for office.
Yeah, well, yeah, I can understand.
listen, we had a friend of mine. He was an attorney. I said, you should run for judge. He said, why? Because you reporters, the journalists, probably got a whole closet full of my skeletons. And
Well,
people are afraid to even jump out there at times.
Gil Hill was caught on they were trying to get him an FBI sting at the Hyatt in Dearborn, and they had undercover FBI agents trying to launder money, and so they're trying to get him to hook them up with business people. And one of the agents said to Gil, he said, "Hey," he says, "you're a pretty big." And Gil was on the city council at the time, and he said, "Hey, you're a pretty big deal in this town." He says, "You ever think about running for mayor?" And Gil said, and there's a FBI transcript of it. And Gil said, "Oh, are you kidding me?" He said, "I got so many skeletons in the closet." He goes, "The press would have a field day."
And when they did, well, Karen, Jim, you got a question?
I don't. I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Okay, Karen, what are the issues? Let's move the old charges aside. What are the issues that some of these candidates should be discussing?
Well, Charlie LaDuff and I held a forum early on, and it was quite insightful in terms of which candidates did not know or were not familiar enough with the city's budget. Some of their comments, some of the things that they said, and some of the things that they didn't say. At least for me, I consider myself a critical thinker, so it was quite revealing. What people don't really understand is that in the next administration, the house of cards that Duggan has so propped up so well will start to fall apart. And so this person is going to be a scapegoat. They're also going to have to deal with the economic dysfunction of this city. We don't have any more ARPA funds. We have not rebuilt our population. I mean, they came up with 1,500 people. Now I see materials that say that we've gained 7,000 residents per month. All of this is not reality. And those of us who live here and see a different city will understand that this will start to unravel. I find it also quite disappointing that it's still a majority Black city, that residents are trying to figure out how are they included? Like, this is starting to remind me of South Africa. It's like, what is going on? So I think that the candidates need to focus on the reality that they're going to have to face. If things were so great, why would Duggan be leaving? And so I think that the next 4 years in this is going to be quite telling. It's going to be.
Haven't we seen this before?
Yes.
Leave the county because the feds came in, got elected prosecutor. The feds come in. I gotta go over to the DMC, and his a guru, whatever, a former colleague at the county grant home, gave him all this money. But what happened? He had to leave because the feds came in. Schools. He spent all the money, the bond money.
Yep.
People don't know. That's why he's been silent on the schools issue. because he had a hand in how the Detroit Public Schools was dismantled, how it went from 200,000 students to what, 30,000, 40,000.
And has been silent about education. And it, as Karen said, in a black city, has been silent about a majority of black city. And these candidates need to do this. How is it that we don't have a lot of black-owned businesses in the city of Detroit? As the new mayor coming in, what are you going to do about that? So it's just absolutely insane.
You work for mayor, Karen, so
well, and this is the thing, and I think I said this before, that an elected official is not a magician. I get that. And this city has been broken for decades. You know, Duggan did a great job, a great job of presenting and performative measures to prop up the city to make himself look good. And that's all that it is. And people say, oh, Karen, you're critical. No, I'm not critical. I'm just being honest. And I have a right to question those things that don't make sense. But, you know, we are looking at some very different times. And I would like, when we talk about black businesses in a city, Vanessa, we have to look at the big picture of what that means, not just in terms of creating a landscape that's conducive for small businesses. But I'm going to say something that really irks me, is that too many small businesses, especially black businesses, don't have business acumen. Once upon a time, you know, there were barbershops and candy stores, and it was generational. You learned what it meant to do and to run a business. Now people think that because they have a talent, or they've got a website, or they even have a pop-up, that allows them to be in business. And that's not what it is. So, you know, the business side of it, we've been conditioned to be consumers, whereas other groups have been merchants by nature. And that too is it undermines the ability for small businesses. You know, I did a story for the Detroit News about the Motor City Match program, you know, and an attorney that worked for the city that was let go because she revealed some realities that didn't match up with the narrative. And so I think that, you know, people think that just having money can mean that you can start a business or win a campaign. And those things that's not necessarily
well,
true.
we see all these new buildings that Dan Gilbert is renovating or building. Who's going in them? Who's going to pay $4,000 a month for rent for a little box?
But you know, developers make their money on the front end, Adolph, and that's why we have an overbuilt and underoccupied city. You know, you've got Pepsi leaving after 80 years. You've got
going.
I mean, I don't know, but they're leaving. But the thing about it is that this didn't happen overnight, and this wasn't patched up in 12 years. I mean, it just wasn't. This city has some structural challenges. You know, when you talk about education, you think about the people that are benefiting from people being under or uneducated. Like, there's money in poverty, and so it is. You know, it's perpetuated. And the people that should be speaking up, saying, "Look, we understand that there are families. Maybe there's a single parent. They may have to work 2 or 3 jobs. That takes them out of the realm of coming to parent-teacher conferences. But there's not a value of education anymore. Schools have become a drop-off center for kids, and it becomes a business. Someone said many years ago, school is a business and your diploma is your receipt. And so as long as they're pushing through and keep talking about, more money for schools, more money per student, but how is that money being used? Where is the performance-based metric to make sure that we're getting something out of the equation? Because we can't. I remember the White House sent representatives here once, and they broke it up into different areas, and I was assigned to the education group, and they were asking about some of the challenges. All the people in the room were talking about how great education was here in the city of Detroit, and I said, I beg to differ. I said, if you really want to see just how education is, pull a kid to the side, or even an adult, and ask them to read. We have to not see our challenges as insults and see them as opportunities to stop doing the same things that have kept us where we are.
Well, we're going to have to take a break and come back and come to you, and we'll continue this conversation. It's amazing. I just want to say, Pepsi leaving is like
And you know
when
the
we
mayor
woke
knew
up.
this.
When we woke up
They
one
knew
day,
this.
and Core America was in Dallas.
Yep.
Just left the headquarters. Just left all these empty buildings. So we'll be back with Karen Dukes.
There was a time as a kid I lived in an abandoned house. My first sermon was to 26 people. Now we're 40,000 strong. I'm Solomon Kinlock. Direct action has been my life's work, delivering groceries to thousands of families in need. My plan, tackle poverty with training for jobs that pay $35 an hour, build 10,000 affordable homes, and make every neighborhood benefit from investment, not just downtown. I'm Solomon Kinlock. Lift every block.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. Are you living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, or maybe you know someone who's in the same situation? The probate process may be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. We have several nonprofit partners who have free attorneys who can assist you. Contact our office, 313-224-5990, or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. Don't lose your family property. Some of these properties have been in the family for 4 or 5 generations. Contact us now. We're here to help.
Okay, welcome back. I know your time is tight. This is Saturday. So, Karen.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, I'm here.
So, Karen, I swear you must have heard my conversation with someone yesterday. What was the day before yesterday? It was Eric Brown. And we were talking about the state of education and how people are making money off of education and our kids are not being educated. But this is nothing new. This has been going on for decades. And you see it when you start teaching on a college level. It is a business. They don't care whether or not you know how to cross your T's, dot your I's, or anything like that. It is a business. And once people understand that, maybe we will be able to turn the curve and turn the narrative and deal with the reality. Listen, you're paying your money for nothing. You're getting nothing. Nothing. So I thank you for that comment, those comments. I thank you for being very transparent and honest.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. But it is. And when you look at the lack of education, and not just formal education, I mean, the ability to navigate, people and situations with a level of calm and decorum, it also reflects in how we're engaged politically. People are looking at things that don't translate into a person being qualified to actually execute the position that they're running from. They're looking at how a person is dressed and the fact that, what they're, I don't know. It's really disappointing. They're not looking at substantive items. They're looking at things, how many commercials and, the fact that they bumped into them in a market and stuff that doesn't really matter, as opposed to really sitting down and kind of peeling apart, those things that could make them a good or a not so good leader.
When you said how people dress, and I find it funny that when Coleman Young, the second, was running for mayor, he got criticized for what he wore, and Duggan looked a mess. But like just went to bed with a suit on and got up. Nobody said anything about the way he dressed or how he looked.
Right.
It's like he's the savior that came on a white horse, and he's gonna save the day. He's the Lone Ranger.
What was Coleman dressed? Was it a bow tie or something?
No, well, Coleman, you know what? He wasn't his father. People want to compare him to his father. Father was sharp dresser, nice suits and stuff. Coleman, this is.
Well, I'm not saying that there's no value in that, because I think how a person presents themselves. I mean, just like I'll tell you this, I listen to how people speak. That's an indicator to me. I mean, I don't want a representative, that cannot effectively communicate. I don't. That's an issue.
Georgia had one, and he won. Remember they made fun of John Lewis against Julia Bond? Yeah, they made fun of him. Say he couldn't speak. You didn't understand it. He had the last laugh, though.
Well, I'm not talking about how. I mean, I'm talking about a person that can't manage subject-verb agreements. I mean, that makes a difference.
But we elect those sometimes. We do elect those folks. And you say, how did they get elected? Because folks say, I like them. You know, the old saying is, he may be a rascal or she may be a rascal, but it's my rascal. And, you know, that's who I support.
So I'm going to go read some of the comments, and Karen, you can comment on them. Dorian Denard, thanks. Dorian Denard says, post on vote. Ira Todd says, thank you, Karen, for speaking the truth. Dave, welcome back, Dave. He said this will be the last joke of the administration for our cities. G Money guarantee you on that. He's responded to someone in chat. Ed Brown says, good morning. He says that you spot on. Much appreciation for you and treasure being able to talk to her at every opportunity that he can. Mr. 1213 says, when the candidates say that they are going to focus on Black business, they don't realize that they are isolating businesses that are ran by other races of people. G Money Hollywood says Detroit has been a tier 2 city for the past decade. It reflects in how the media is valued. The media market is no longer a tier 1 either. As the media goes, city goes. There both are no longer a power. Ashley River says this is the fault of the chief executive officers and financial officers of these credit unions and banks. They don't comply with the rules and laws of international procedure. Stephanie Jackson says, thank you so much. Poverty is a business. Kenneth Reed says, the dumbing down of Detroit. I have seen schools closed on purpose to BS at the federal system. Where in the neighborhood you have elementary schools that fed into middle schools that fed into high schools. Okay, sorry. On purpose that schools are antiquated. AI is and has been the information center for decades. Ms. Sheila says, good morning, Ms. Sheila. Uneducated people is a pipeline to jail. Focus on skilled trades, please. Thank you. Candace McCray, good morning, Candace. Businesses will love with Mary Liz. Believe. Yeah. I'm sorry. And I can't read that.
Sorry, that's a big difference.
I want to comment on Eric's little thing.
Yeah, but there was one part. There was Terry McCrimmon who commented earlier. He said he wonders how many votes would be thrown out by Janice Winfrey. Basically, how many votes would she use up?
Karen, should we be concerned about the clerk's office?
I'm sorry?
Should we be concerned about the clerk's office?
Well, you know, I'm going to say this. And one, I don't think Duggan won a write-in campaign 12 years ago. There's no amount of money that you can convince me that he did. It just don't. I mean, it had to be verbatim. We have a 50% illiteracy rate in this city, and people didn't know his name. They don't know his name now. So I question that. And two, when anyone in an elected capacity, I think objectivity is key. And so when you see people in those positions that are showing up at fundraisers and doing that, it makes you should not even give the appearance of any impropriety or subjectivity. So I just, let me say that.
Explain when you talk, be a little bit more specific about Duggan, your skepticism about his victory the first time.
I'm sorry, Allan, say that again.
Be a little bit more specific about Duggan when you express skepticism about his victory the first time. Explain a little bit more why.
I don't know any other way to explain it, Allan. It made me question the integrity of the process, because you are talking a write-in campaign from someone who did not have a brand value with the voters here in the city. And even though the margins were small, I started to question the integrity of the process. And that's not voter fraud or anything like that. I just question the integrity of the process. I mean, people that know Duggan know that, they know that he is a chess player. I mean, he does. He wrote the book on politics in a game that people are trying to learn the rules to. So
But I'll just push back a little bit on the name brand. I mean, he did work for the Wayne County. He was a prosecutor with a fairly high profile. He was at DMC by that time. He had a profile in the city. So I'm not pushing back and saying you're wrong.
oh, that's fine.
But I'll say that I think he did have a name. I mean,
But the people you go to Mac and Bewick or Dexter and Davis, they don't know. They didn't know who Mike Duggan was enough, and they also didn't know how to spell his name. I mean, just all there are a lot of variables.
They changed the rules of the write-in because we at one time there was a write-in candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go back to the 20s. He won. But he was a member of a white supremacist organization, and the clerk threw out his victory because they said too many people misspelled his last name,
Mm-hmm.
and they didn't count it. On this time, they counted any and everything. They said Mike Dogan, Mike.
The white guy. They had all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I mean,
they counted. But we went through this before. I remember when Clyde Cleveland ran against Ed McNamara with no money. He was sitting on the council. Ed McNamara was running for a re-election as county exec. And when McNamara went to bed on Tuesday night, he basically conceded the election to Clyde Cleveland. But when he woke up the next day, Jackie Curry had found thousands of spoiled ballots in Detroit, and McNamara was beat him in Detroit and got reelected by a slim margin.
And Duggan's taken a page from McNamara's book. You know, McNamara switched parties conveniently. I mean, but you know, Duggan used to be the head of the Young Republicans in Livonia. So, I mean, has he ever really said he was a Democrat? I mean, party notwithstanding, but I'm saying we're not looking at all of the factors over the years, but how does that translate into where we're going next for the next administration?
Because he likes to be in the line that's shorter. Coleman Young wouldn't support the Democratic ticket when Ed McNamara ran as a lieutenant governor on the ticket.
Really?
Yeah, Coleman is like, man, I'll go with the real Republicans, not the fake ones, the ones that was Republicans and then turned to be Democrats. And yeah, you know, this man is old.
And Allan, even though he may have had some degree of brand value, for lack of a better word, it didn't exceed that of Benny Napoleon. Everybody in this town knew and loved Benny beyond comprehension. And if his name is right in front, I mean, people know what the process. That's why people spend so much money on advertising, because it, you know, the frequency and, oh, I've heard the name. I'll bet you $500. I just don't do it. I just don't.
I was going to comment real quickly on Eric Brown said Detroit. I think he was referring to the education. Detroit is never going to be the world-class city. I want to say, I mean, look, Detroit's a great city. It has a lot of great, you know, assets and stuff like that. But Detroit, I mean, people get defensive that Detroit is lacking. I mean, one, in a really top-rate educational system, transportation system. We have a really inadequate transportation system. And last night, you know, a friend who used to live here, who lives in DC now, we were driving back from Buddy's Pizza to back downtown, taking the surface streets, and he hadn't been here in a little while. And he was like, he was just baffled by the amount of emptiness, empty fields. And
well, he couldn't be shocked because he can go to DC or go to Baltimore and see the same shit.
No, I'll tell you, DC, I lived there for 14 years, and I was in every neighborhood all the time. DC probably had about a total of 4 or 5 empty storefronts, about maybe 1 or 2 empty like apartment buildings.
When I lived in DC, and they pushed out the people that live there, they pushed them out.
They pushed them out. Well, what they were doing is the public housing in DC when Anthony Williams and the Prince George's County.
They pushed them right across the street.
Yeah, they
to
pushed them
Maryland.
into Prince
They
George's County.
they can't go to Arlington or Alexandria because that's where all the tech people, military people live at, and the rents are this high. They all go to Prince George County or move into Baltimore.
Well, basically, though, what was happening in D.C.
So these people that come here and say, I'm so shocked at what's going on. When my mom and dad was here, it was vibrant. We had almost 2 million people,
But,
and we don't have that.
Yes.
Why in Boston and cities like San Francisco that got less people than Detroit, they can thrive because they got partnerships with financial institutions, educational institutions, etc. If some of these people had their way, Wayne State would have moved out a long time ago. UOD would have moved out. Dennis Archer let Detroit College of Law be stolen by Michigan State. Not that Michigan State didn't need a law school, but he said we didn't have the land. Right over on Shane, you can build 10 law schools.
Well, you saw it, Wayne. I mean, there was a period where Detroit was not cool, and Wayne State was starting to build out more and more out in the suburbs. Now it's like, hey, we're in Detroit. We're the main.
They've been moving out a long time ago. Wash College used to be downtown. Lawrence Tech used to be downtown. I can name all this shit that used to be downtown.
Yeah.
But we moved out. We built the highways. And we made it easy for people to move out. Now all of a sudden you think Houdini gonna come back alive and say, "Oh, I'm turning 375 into Paradise Valley again." You know what we gonna get on Paradise Valley? A sign that says this is where black folks used to live, and all the billionaires are gonna have their way.
So where do we go from here? That's the question.
Where's our mayor people?
What I was going to say is that Detroit still has there's a lot of ways to improve Detroit to make it, and whether we become a world-class city, that should be our aim. We shouldn't aim low.
Okay, so my question is, and this will be, I want to ask you guys your opinion. Given that those of us that are sitting at the table, Karen knows that there's some economic issues here in the city of Detroit. When you hear these candidates talking about building houses, affordable housing, where is the money coming from? Has anybody really talked about a real concrete plan?
Jim.
Well, I think Karen talked about Duggan and what he's doing, and she didn't come right out and say it, but COVID funds are leaving, right? The money's gone. The Republicans are in charge. Who wants to be mayor? And are they going to start with one hand tied behind their back?
That's true. You're absolutely right. But that's the thing. So why? And I think that was one of the questions we asked. Why do you want to be mayor? I see a lot of people, not just in this particular race, but in general, they run from elected seat to elected seat. Public service has become self-service, and people are on the short end of the stick. But I think that in order for people to temper their expectations out of this next election, they have to understand all of those variables that are going on. Like you just said, Jeff, the Republicans are in charge at the state level, at the federal level. There are no more COVID dollars. And then we're wrangling with two things. One of your viewers mentioned the media, and Adolph, you talked about population. Our population has been declining for the past several decades, and the media model has shifted. And so, yeah, it's not the same, but there are, platforms like this that have taken precedence over traditional media. And, so it is on a decline.
Well, you know what? I look at being mayor of Detroit as like somebody being named the new captain of the Titanic. The ship is sinking, and they come to me and say, "You're the new captain." "Oh, I'm the captain." Zoom, and the ship sinks. Man, I'm gonna tell you, this is a big job, and it's gonna take a team of people.
Absolutely.
A team of people,
but the right team.
Right. Absolutely, the right team.
Okay, Karen, we're gonna leave it with you. Your prediction: who gonna make it through?
You know, I have learned very safely
We wanna make it through.
not to make predictions. You know, I mean, we think back to uh, I can't even think of his name, Freeman Hendricks. You know, we think
Yeah.
back to to Dave Kinesic. You know, when he thought that he had, and this lady came out of nowhere with no money, no name recognition. So you know, yard signs don't vote, commercials don't vote. You know, look at Kamala Harris. Everybody was, you know. So my thing is that I'm going to wait. I'm going to see which two candidates we have and then try to figure out which is going to be the best of those two. I will say this though, I'm tired of hearing people say, "Oh, I like this candidate, but I'm not so sure that they can win." Well, understand that part of that winning process, aside from any compromise that may exist on the other side, is the result of people getting out and putting their effort behind the candidate that they would like to win. I also see a lot of people trying to get behind candidates that they think will win because they want to work for the city, which to me is stupid. But you know, again, we don't have the right connections to what it should be about getting behind the right candidate for the right reasons.
Well, Karen, I thank you for coming on and giving us your insight on this most important election.
Thank
You're the
you.
co-host of the No Bullshit podcast.
BS. We just call it BS with Charlie Liddell.
You know Charlie, my guy, but we
I
have
know.
man.
Charlie's a good guy, and I appreciate the platform that you guys have. Allan, I'm waiting on that book. I'm going to remind you every Friday.
I have not forgotten about it.
All right,
Well,
that's a good
no
deal.
question.
Thank
Karen Dumas,
Thanks,
Thank
Karen.
you.
Thank you.
political guru. Thank you, Karen. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
take-
Have a great day. Thanks. Bye bye.
We're gonna take a quick break. We're gonna come and wrap it up.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabri, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in a home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Yeah, 10% off if you mention Detroit in black and white at McShane's. That's for food, drink.
Michigan and
whatever.
Trumbull.
And they've been our home.
The
Yeah.
corner,
It's been good to
the
us.
corner of
They've been looking
Michigan,
for us.
Michigan and Trumbull.
They got a poster up, missing in action. And
Well,
stuff.
we've kind of bailed on them because they have a lot of activity over there this summer with the Tigers.
Well, they might not
soccer.
have that after this week. But I thought Karen gave a great insight on the
She's
city,
been around.
you know,
She's
on
a
the
veteran
mayor.
of
Yes,
Yeah.
there's no question.
So I just want to give a shout out to some of the people that participated in the comments. Superstar Bella, thank you so much for watching Detroit Black and White. She said growing up in Detroit was like South African apartheid. Janet, overall affordable for who? Thank you so much. Bishop, I think this is a new viewer. I've never, but thank you so much for watching Detroit Black and White. Karen Winston, a regular viewer, thank you so much. She said good morning. Candace McCrae says Door Hall is the dark horse.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Miss Sheila. She said people with cell phones hate the new trusted media. Hate the new trusted media. I think that's what she said. Stephanie Jackson said thank you. Terry McCrimmon said just one teaser for Vanessa. I saw you and your client on the Hall of Shame Thursday night, Fox 2 News.
No comment.
You look
No comment.
professional. You looked,
I'm always
No
professional.
comment.
So with that being said, we want to tell you, we thank you guys so much for watching Detroit Black and White every Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. We also thank you for watching our other shows, which is the week that was in Reality Strikes by Eric Brown. We're encouraging you to continue to watch us, tell your friends about us, and let's less little. Thank you so much for watching. I forgot to read your comment. Continue to watch, like, share, tell your friends about it. You can catch us on all social media platforms. I'm going to ask that all of you have a wonderful weekend on purpose. There's a lot of sad things going on. I think I told you before the show, I had a couple of calls yesterday. You know what? Pray for people, okay? Pray for the family.
Thanks, Karen, for coming on, and we appreciate you, etc. And we done had some high-profile celebrity passing.
Yeah.
And some of them I didn't like.
Malcolm Jamal
Oh
Warner.
yeah, that was sad.
Chuck Mangione.
Ozzy
Osbourne, Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
I mean, Hulk Hogan is
Even when
kind
he was
of
popular, I wasn't a fan, but my boys liked wrestling.
I'm not what they said. What my parents said. Don't if you don't have anything good to say about the dead, don't say it. Hulk Hogan is dead. Good.
Well, he appeared at the convention, which he appeared at the Republican National Convention.
He gonna beat Kamala Harris' ass.
And I just thought it degraded the professionalism of it to have a wrestler on tearing his shirt off, and it became like this macho big time wrestling event. But that's me.
Well, just as bad as when Clint Eastwood debated an empty chair.
Oh, right.
Donald P.T. Barnum said there's a sucker born every minute, and 70 million, 75 million, they voted.
I forgot to shout out to Dorian Denard, who, of course, he's suspect about the clerk's office. He says that it's always been compromised. It needs to be investigated, but it won't. I think it's interesting that people are talking about the clerk's office because people don't trust the clerk's office. And even though she's running unopposed, I think that people, the fact that people are concerned about it.
We got to put some pressure on. Jim, your final thought?
My final thought is this, and I want everybody in the room and everybody that's watching tonight to think about this. Today, I should say this morning. Is Ghislaine Maxwell the end of Donald Trump? And I think that's a bigger question that people need to dig a little deeper. When you talk about Harvey Weinstein and R. Kelly, Bill Cosby, Epstein, all these people, it started really small and it turned into a big snowball, right? It takes time. So I want to know
I have an opinion on that. I mean, to have Blanche, who is Trump's attorney and now the deputy attorney general, go down there and debrief him, which is unheard of. I mean, first of all, generally, if there was some new information, a lot of times they would send an FBI agent down there, but there's no reason right now to really, they're not going to prosecute anybody. I think the statute.
They're going to find her. She committed suicide.
Yeah.
They're going to do
the statute of limitation. I think what's happening here is that I would not be surprised if they've sort of tipped the hand and said, hey, you could get a little time off when the president's exiting instead of serving another 15 years. He said, you could get a little time off if you shut your yap and don't say anything. I think what's going to bring them down is the cover up and the trying to cover up that Donald Trump, what information is in those files. And they're, to have Trump's attorney who's acting as
they asked for it. You got to be careful what you ask for. Yeah. And you got it.
I think it's going to blow up in their face. They're trying to make it go away. Like first Pam Bondi said, there are no files. There's no list. There's no nothing. And people are, for some reason, the MAGA people are so obsessed about this case. I think partly because they want to see Bill Clinton go down. And they're so desperate to see some of the Democrats, big name Democrats, that they've forgotten that Trump is part of it, and now they're mad that Trump is blocking them from getting what they want.
Okay.
Cynthia Johnson says you're probably right, Adolph, suicide. And I forgot to read this comment earlier. Lewis said that Sheffield and Jenkins said that they will vote for Perkins if they themselves were on the ballot, which is interesting.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you guys so much, and I try to acknowledge everybody. Thanks for
Okay.
watching, Cynthia.
Okay, well, we'll be back next Wednesday as we go into D-Day. That means election time, and we'll have some of the city council candidates to come on and talk that talk.
Right. There's still so many candidates. I mean, I live in the 5th district. There's probably like 8 candidates, and I still don't know.
Willie Burton, I like Willie Burton.
Yeah.
And because Willie Burton, people don't like him. He sit on that commission because he says things that some of these people don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And I had to give him credit. He is everywhere in that district. He walked that district and stuff. You need somebody that's
He showed up at the candidates forum last week.
that's going to be visible. I just hope if he got elected that he don't become consumed in being the honorable Willie Burton instead of the Willie Burton that cares about the resident. But that's a name.
Okay.
Michael Richard, who we had.
Right. He seemed very sharp.
He knows it. So we'll be. Go ahead.
Before we go, I don't know. Whitney Clark is running in that district, but did you guys know that he also applied for a seat on the Detroit Public School Community District? So I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but I'm just wondering if you guys knew that. G Money Hollywood says, he's a write-in. G Money Hollywood says, perhaps we may decide to run the show for an hour and a half instead of an hour, especially when you get strong participation like it has been today. Well, G Money, we went from a half an hour to an hour. We went from once a week to 3 times a week.
Well, when we was on the radio, we was 2 hours.
That's true.
He's a great contributor to this show. And we
the different, in radio, most of the time, although people come in the middle of the show, they might come in the last 15 minutes, last 20 minutes. But radio is like people jump in their car, and so they catch a little segment, whatever it might be. So,
well, anyway, thank you. Thank you, Teresa. Thank the viewers, Jim, Vanessa, Allan, and Karen Dumas. Thank you. We'll see you Wednesday.